The law of attraction is one of the most confusing ideas in modern self-development. Some people believe it completely changed their lives. Others tried it for years and saw nothing happen. And scientists often dismiss it as pseudoscience disguised as spirituality. So what's really going on? Is the law of attraction a real mechanism that shapes outcomes? Or is it simply positive thinking dressed up as something mystical? In this video, we're going to examine the law of attraction through science, psychology, neuroscience, and human behavior, to understand what parts of it are grounded in reality, what parts are exaggerated, and how to use these ideas without falling into magical thinking. By the end, you'll have a clear, balanced understanding. Not belief, not disbelief, but clarity. The idea that the mind influences experience is not new. Ancient Stoic philosophers taught that people are not disturbed by events themselves, but by the meaning they assign to those events. Buddhist teachings emphasized intention, awareness, and cause and effect. Hindu philosophy explored sankalpa, the power of intention combined with disciplined action. None of these traditions claimed that thoughts control the universe. They claimed that thoughts shape perception, behavior, and experience. The modern law of attraction emerged much later, through self-help culture and books like The Secret. These teachings simplified complex psychological principles into a single promise: focus on what you want, and the universe will deliver it. That promise is emotionally appealing, but scientifically incomplete. At the heart of the law of attraction is the phrase, like attracts like. Scientifically, this does not mean energy waves matching frequencies. It means this: your dominant thoughts influence your emotional state. Your emotional state influences your decisions. Your decisions, repeated daily, shape your outcomes. If you consistently think in terms of scarcity, fear, or avoidance, your behavior reflects that. If you consistently think in terms of growth, possibility, and responsibility, your behavior shifts accordingly. Positive thinking doesn't create results on its own, but it changes behavioral probability. And probability, over time, determines outcomes. From a scientific perspective, the law of attraction does not work in the way it's often advertised. Thoughts do not send signals into the universe that rearrange external events. However, thoughts absolutely influence attention, motivation, persistence, decision-making. When people say manifestation worked, what usually happened is not magic. Their focus changed. Their actions changed. Their consistency improved. And results followed. The error is attributing those results to unseen forces instead of recognizing human psychology at work. One of the strongest scientific explanations behind manifestation comes from neuroscience. Your brain processes millions of stimuli every second. You are consciously aware of only a fraction. The reticular activating system, or RAS, filters information and decides what reaches your awareness. When you set a clear goal, your brain flags related information as important. Opportunities don't suddenly appear. They become noticeable. This is why intention feels powerful. Not because reality changes, but because your perception does. The placebo effect provides another powerful insight. Patients given inactive treatments often experience real improvements, simply because they believe they are being helped. Belief influences pain perception, stress response, immune function, performance. This shows that belief can create measurable physiological change. But there is a limit. Belief enhances outcomes. It does not replace effort, treatment, or action. The law of attraction works best when belief supports behavior, not substitutes for it. Your brain is not fixed. It rewires itself through repetition, a process called neuroplasticity. Repeated thoughts strengthen neural pathways. Repeated actions reinforce habits. Habits shape identity. This is where most people misunderstand manifestation. They visualize success, but don't practice success behaviors. They repeat affirmations, but don't change routines. They expect transformation without repetition. Without habits, nothing rewires. Manifestation becomes real only when it becomes embodied through action. Visualization is often presented as the centerpiece of the law of attraction. Close your eyes. Picture the future you want. Feel it as if it's already real. Visualization can be powerful, but only under specific conditions. Research in psychology shows that visualization without action can actually reduce motivation. When the brain vividly imagines success, it may experience a sense of completion without effort. This creates emotional satisfaction, but no behavioral change. In other words, the brain confuses imagination with progress. This is why some people feel inspired after visualizing, but take no action afterward. The most effective form of visualization is not outcome-based. It is process-based. Instead of imagining the reward, high performers visualize the discomfort of training, the steps required to prepare, the mistakes they must overcome. This kind of visualization primes the brain for action, not fantasy. When visualization is paired with effort, it enhances focus. When it replaces effort, it becomes self-sabotage. Another way to understand manifestation scientifically is through identity. Your identity acts like an internal attractor state. An attractor state is a concept from systems theory. It describes how systems naturally return to familiar patterns unless something fundamentally changes. In human behavior, identity is that pattern. If you see yourself as someone who struggles financially, you will unconsciously return to behaviors that reinforce struggle, even after temporary success. If you see yourself as someone who avoids conflict, you will retreat, even when speaking up would help you. This is why sudden success often disappears. The system hasn't changed, only the circumstances have. True manifestation requires changing the attractor, not the outcome. This happens through repeated identity-confirming behaviors, keeping promises to yourself, tracking progress consistently, tolerating short-term discomfort. When identity changes, behavior stabilizes at a higher level, and results follow naturally. Quantum physics is often cited as proof that thoughts shape reality. This is where science draws a clear boundary. Quantum mechanics describes behavior at the subatomic level. It does not demonstrate that human thoughts directly alter external events. Using quantum ideas as metaphors can be inspiring. Using them as scientific proof is misleading. A grounded approach respects mystery, without inventing certainty. Skeptics point to confirmation bias, the tendency to notice evidence that supports belief and ignore evidence that doesn't. They're correct. But the law of attraction persists because it points to something true. Mindset shapes behavior. Behavior shapes outcomes. The danger isn't belief. The danger is believing without responsibility. One reason the law of attraction attracts criticism is not because it encourages optimism, but because it can encourage avoidance. When manifestation is taught irresponsibly, people may blame themselves for illness, avoid seeking help, stay passive in difficult situations, interpret failure as bad energy. This is not empowerment, it is misdirection. A healthy, ethical approach to manifestation always includes accountability, action, adaptability, compassion. Belief should increase responsibility, not remove it. Any system that discourages effort, learning, or help-seeking is not a growth system. It's a coping mechanism. So let's bring this together clearly. The law of attraction is not a force that bends reality to your thoughts. And it is not a substitute for effort, discipline, or responsibility. But it also isn't meaningless. At its core, it describes how attention shapes perception, how belief influences behavior, and how behavior compounds into results. Your thoughts don't control the universe, but they do control what you notice. What you notice influences what you choose. And what you choose, repeated over time, becomes your life. When belief is grounded in action, it becomes direction. When action is repeated, it becomes identity. And when identity changes, outcomes stabilize at a higher level. That's not magic. That's alignment. The real danger isn't believing too much. It's believing without acting. So the question you should leave with isn't, does the law of attraction work? It's this. Are your beliefs helping you avoid effort? Or are they helping you become someone capable of sustained effort? Because the future you experience will always reflect the person you practice being. And that is where manifestation stops being fantasy and becomes something real.